Okay, getting started on the Cobalt, tearing out some of the floor, and going to be replacing the stringers and ribs. So, what I'm going to give you as advice is whenever you're working on a boat, you don't want to strip everything out at one time. What you want to do is you want to rebuild these floors, which are the boards that sit up and down, not the actual flooring itself. If this were a house, these would be called floor joist, but it's not a house. So this piece here came out, and this was the floor joist. And as you can see, the only thing that's left is the actual fiberglass that was around that rotted wood. So this is what happens when you leave your vessel out and you don't clean your drain plugs. You wind up with trash. Now, I'll make an oversized starting board with that piece of fiberglass right there. I'll have to rip this carpet that's in here out and cut it, because there's nothing rotten that I can reach without separating the clam beyond that door right there to the V-berth. The seats are piled up out there. Well, they should already be in a recover shop, and they're not. If you're going to work on a boat and the engine has to be rebuilt, don't let it come to you with the engine. This is going to cost me about an extra 25 hours in labor to work around that damned engine. The time it takes to work around those damn seats, you'll understand why sailors cuss, but not as bad as boatwrights. So, in the next 3 weeks, I'll be going over this flooring in this vessel and taking it apart. Now, I'm going to show you how to test some stuff. Try not to flip the phone upside down. We've got this piece here, and you can see that it's already degrading. You can hit it with a hammer, but there's no need. You see that I can just, the water comes out of that when I hit it. This is saturated. Now, look at this, and I'm going to go over this again. This is 2 layers of 1/2 inch ply. It is not 1 inch plywood. It is 2 layers. So that's going to work out. You're going to piece your bottom layer in, which is under. Then the overlay, you're going to try to get it in as 2 pieces split down the middle. Then you're going to glass the whole top. You glass it to keep it from rotting as bad. If this vessel wouldn't have been left to fill with leaves, if they would have invested into a cover, you wouldn't be seeing this boat right now. It wouldn't be a project of mine. So I'm going to get a razor off camera. I'm going to cut this carpet. I'm going to roll it up. I'm going to throw it over the side as waste. And then I'm going to start grinding this piece out here. And I will cut to shape that floor that goes across. And then I will start to remove the flooring going toward each hull side. So I will go starboard to berth and replace anything that's in there that needs to be replaced. That'll give me back to my height. Another way you can retain your height is if you have access to the walls, grind a spot, use fiberglass, and put a string from side to side, measuring up from your flooring, up from your deck. Let's get these words straight. The floor goes across, the deck goes on top of the floor and gives you a place to walk. So if you were to want to record your deck height so that you don't change anything, because just a little change either way is going to make it feel funny, it's going to make it handle funny. So basically, you would attach a block so that you could attach a string to the side and come across. You want them to be exactly the same millimeter fraction by 3/64 of an inch. So that all the way across, you can measure down from that string and bring your floor back up to that level. Or your deck. Okay? Now, it's going to be 80 degrees pretty soon. So I'm going to get this piece of floor, hopefully fiberglassed, back in before that hits. And I'll show you a little clip and tag it onto the end of this and show you where I get in 5 hours of work day today. Thanks for viewing. Like, subscribe, and follow. Now, look at the shadow. It's right there. My foot's right there. I'm going to stand in the same spot when I come back, and you'll see the shadow. Shadow will be way over there. All right, guys, let's get to work, because this is not an easy task. Now, my shadow's in the way, so you'll have to forgive me for that, but it's the only place I can work with one hand. I've got the piece dry cut. And when I say dry cut, it means it's going to get laid up with resin. So I'm going to do a dry fit. Make sure everything fits. Because if it does not fit, then we have a problem. Okay. Now, there we go. Back against the bottom of the deck with the floor. Deck. Okay, if it were a house, this would be a floor joist, and this would be a floor. So don't let that confuse you, and just work on your way. Fiberglass will lay up in between here, and on the other side, and on the corners. So that stringer right here is bad, so it will have to come out. So what I will do is I will temporarily, or well, it'll be a permanent, it's not going to come back out. I'll put a patch of fiberglass on each side of this and get this squared up, and I'll get the bottom across. I'll get everything square. The hole will be squared up, make sure everything's back the way it should be. And then from that point, what I'll do is make sure that that drain right there is not encumbered. So we'll actually mark some measurements there so that I know to put that drain right back in its same spot, because the fiberglass will cover that temporarily, and then I'll just take a plunge drill, pop through it, because water drains from that tube right there back to this point right here. But this is your ski locker. And here's a ski that was in it. There you go. How you like that for a short ski? That ski's seen its life. Just rotted away. So that was up and under the front of the bow of the boat. So we've got that piece done, and it's all been sanded, and it's ready to have gel coat applied to it, and any imperfection on this will be filled. Now this is a treated wood. It has a flame retardant added to it, which is pretty much an oxymoron, seeing how it's going to be wrapped in highly flammable fiberglass resin. Now the fiberglass itself will not burn, but the resin does. They make a flame retardant resin, but I'm not going to be buying that. All right, guys, there's where we're at right now. We'll go back to the mule shop. I've already rounded it over on the part that's going to be at the top, and the reason I round this over, even though it's going to have the deck on top of this floor, is I want fiberglass to go around this 1/2-inch plywood. Now, the reason I do that is when I go over, I'm going to do something that the manufacturer did not do. I'm going to seal this by doing that. This was left bare raw wood, and they just ran the fiberglass up on each side, and then they cut these out apparently with a bandsaw. Looking at what they did, I don't know, wasn't there, can't tell you what the manufacturer really truly did. I'm just speculating. So with that speculation thrown out there, if anybody knows for a fact, like, oh hell no, I worked at the Cobalt factory, we didn't do that, you tell me what you did. So you see this, This is going on. I'm going to take a clean roller, try to knock any lint out of it. Make sure I don't leave lint in my stuff. I don't like it. It leaves little air bubbles under the fiberglass. So I pick this clean, make sure nothing's going to fall out. I'm rolling it a little bit and just pinching every side. Let that run for a little bit. Then I'm just going to simply come in here and gently pull this uphill until I've saturated my roller. And I don't want to do this very end down here until last, because what I'll do is put it on my pegboard. Now what I've made is a pegboard just by running a bunch of screws through, and I laid something flat on top, and I kind of sand them down to get them all to the same height so that when I lay something on it, it doesn't wobble too much. But over time, a little bit of epoxy, a little bit of fiberglass resin, they build up on it, and you get some imperfections. So the second one and the third one and so on that I built, I didn't worry about sanding them and leveling them anymore. I just put the dang screws through it, and every couple of months I'll lay it on the concrete floor flat and slide it back and forth, and then just put it right back up on the table and lay something on it. Now you see I'm flipping now because I'm actually missing that screw, so I'm going to grab it, pull it over to it just a little bit, pretty much grips. So I've got one tall screw in there, so it flips, but won't hurt anything. This is my Zen moment, ladies and gentlemen. This is where I get peaceful during the day. Because when you get this going on, you're reaching a point on your fiberglass build-up job, your boat repair, that you're pretty comfortable with stuff. So I'm going to lay the phone down, and I'm going to flip this board around because I'm not wearing my brand new gloves that I just bought. Down here working without them. I'll lay that on the screw. See, I can probably do it. Just going to flip it around like so. And the reason I'm using the spike board is when I cut the camera off, what I'll do is I'll flip this side that's been epoxied today. And because I'm trying to get this ready for fiberglass as quick as possible. So I want to beat this 80-degree temperature that's going to hit us by noon. And I don't like working over 75 degrees. Everything flashes off too fast. So I'll get this laid up, flip it over. The spikes will go through a couple little points, and I'll epoxy the other side.